Tonight at Emory Henry, Paul Russo and his squad will host Washington and Lee in a first-round game of the ODAC Tournament. The winner might get a booby prize on Friday with Virginia Wesleyan, but both coaches would tell you they just still want to be playing at this time of year. I talked to Paul Russo back in January, and we talked about the change in style of play from his team from a few years ago when the late Bob Johnson was still coaching him. It was a real run-and-gun style. Coach Russo talks about the change with the style of play.
It's not very similar at all, to be honest with you. And you know, every coach is going to be different. You know, we tend to think that we are modeling some of the teams prior to the run-and-gun system of Emory and Henry, where we really try and hang our hat defensively, work into the shot clock to get a good shot. So the pace of the game has certainly slowed considerably, and we've really focused on the defensive side of the ball here. That took some, we had to recruit some size because the running gun kind of left us pretty small, and there certainly was a change in emphasis as we switched styles. But I think the same thing that has remained, whether you're scoring 120 or you're scoring 70, is the effort. And again, whether you're hanging your hat on the defensive side or the offensive side, playing hard is the consistent thing here at Emory Henry that we're trying to impart in our guys.
Washington Lee has proven that they can beat anybody on any given day, really getting the best of Randolph Macon earlier this season. I talked to Nathan Davis, head coach of the Yellow Jackets, on what stands out to him about Washington and Lee.
Well, they're very big. I think JDI is one of the best players in the league. He's basically a walking double-double at this center spot for him. I think they have some young guards that are athletic and can defend, and then they've got wings like Jeremy Atkins. They can put the ball on the floor and get his own shot. So they've got a lot of things they can do. But I think JDI is he's a tough player. He's a really, really good player.
Coach Davis went one step further in saying who has given him problems from Adam Hutchinson's Generals.
Well, the guy that's always given us trouble from Washington Lee is Jeremy Atkins. I think his first ever start was here. It's just now 3 years ago when he was a freshman. He had 20 in his first start against us, and he's got an ability to with a mid-range game, except about make the threes, that he's a tough matchup.
Tom Palombo, the head coach of the Guilford Quakers, broke down both teams. First, I got his thoughts on Adam Hutchinson's Generals of Washington and Lee.
A team that maybe their league record isn't impressive, but their team is certainly impressive. I think I think JDI is a top 5 player in our league. If you watch that game with Randolph Macon, he was just unbelievable, blocking shots, getting rebounds, scoring points. He can do just about anything. And they certainly surround him with some special players. Atkins is a solid 2-guard. He's got good size. Their point guard, Jamal McDonald, he's a freshman. He had 18 points in the first half against us in our game against them. He can drive it. He can shoot the three. He's really quick. So they've got a lot of weapons. They've got a couple big kids inside. Larry Whitaker, who could play a 3 or a 4, is a tough matchup as well.
Then Coach Palombo broke down the other side with Emory and Henry when we talked a few weeks back.
We were very lucky the ball bounced our way, certainly when we played them at their place. I think if you had to pick a most improved team in our league, I think it's close between them and Lynchburg as the two teams that have improved from last year to this year. Paul had those guys, a year in his system and now another year in the system, and they're running the way he wants them to play. They're very disciplined. They play really hard on defense, which he's been able to establish that over the last 2 years, and that's why they've been so successful this year.
Most people say Emory and Henry has been one of the most improved groups in the ODAC. D. Vick, head coach of Hampton-Sydney, talks about what stands out to him about Paul Russo's group.
Well, Paul gets his kids to play really hard. It's always been a trademark of Emory and Henry. It's just a scrappy bunch, and that when they get on the court, you're going to have to compete really hard. Anytime there's a loose ball or a long rebound, they got 5 guys chasing it with great intensity. And so I think that, and then the fact that he's elevated their talent level some, makes them dangerous at this time of year as well.
Don Burgess talks about what he has seen out of Emory and Henry when his Bridgewater teams have met him.
Coach Russo's done a real nice job down there, and those guys are playing with a lot more confidence this year. That's one of the things. I've only been in that conference for 4 years. But that happens in regards to getting battle-tested guys. Malcolm Green last year, he could always score. But this year he's playing with a lot more confidence, and he's getting other guys involved. And then Russo's got a nice job recruiting-wise. He got some freshmen and some other transfers that came in, and they're buying into the system, and they're playing their roles. You got big Armando Morel on the block. That gives them a post presence, and then all of a sudden you got a couple of shooters out there, and Damien and Tyler Driver, and then Malcolm Green is a very good finisher. So he's got some very nice pieces of the puzzles that he's put together, and those guys are playing with a lot of confidence, but they're playing within themselves in regards to their roles, and they seem to accept their roles, and they're playing really well.
Kirby Dean talks about what he feels Paul Russo has done well with his Wasps.
Well, he's gotten better players. I think that's probably the biggest thing they've done. I think they're really talented. I think they are still learning to play together, which that takes some time. But I think just man for man, when you're talking about pure talent, they're really, really good. We went down there last week, and I thought played a really good game, and had a chance to win at the end. We kind of missed a little stick back that. I think 9 times out of 10 we'd have made that play, and I tell you what, that would have been a great win because I think they're playing really well, especially down there. They're another one of those teams that they have good enough players that if they get some confidence, they can really get that thing rolling. But you can't sleep on W&L. If you look at their score from Sunday, you think they got their doors blown off by Virginia Wesleyan, but if you look a little closer, you'll see that they had cut a 20-point lead down to 7 with 10 minutes to go in that second half, and really had put themselves in position, to challenge Wesleyan down the stretch. And then Wesleyan got on one of those rolls and really ran away with it down the stretch. But there's nobody in this league you can take for granted. That's for sure.
And finally, one of the toughest players in all the ODAC, as Nathan Davis put it earlier, a walking double-double in JDI. Don Burgess gave his thoughts on the big man from Washington and Lee.
JDI is a young man that's 6'7", 6'6", 6'7", very athletic. He's a true college four-man. I love his demeanor in regards to true college four-man. He can shoot the trail three. He can put the ball on the deck and get to the rim, or he can post you up in the secondary. But also the thing that JD has done over the years that I've coached against, and he's gotten stronger each year. And that's the importance of being a college basketball player and taking the game to the next level in regards to getting stronger throughout the course of his career. And that's what he's done. So now he went from just a thin, athletic four-man that you could body up to now he bodies you up and gets buckets on the block, or he does step out and shoot that three. And his his jumper is really expanded.
Since the ODAC started the play-in games of the first round with the 2008-2009 season, W&L has had a perfect 3-0 record. They've knocked off Emory and Henry twice, knocked off Lynchburg last season. W&L looking to do the same thing tonight. They have to do it on the road, but they did go on the road at Lynchburg last year and win as well. W&L very well coached by Adam Hutchinson, as he was the 2008 ODAC Coach of the Year. We'll see what happens tonight when Paul Russo and Emory and Henry match up with them. Like we have talked about, the winner gets Virginia Wesleyan on Friday at the Salem Civic Center. Virginia Wesleyan has played Washington and Lee lately, knocked them off 77-49 this past Sunday. Washington and Lee, though, got the better of Emory and Henry earlier in the year, last time out, 67-46. Should be a good one tonight for the Sports Buffet podcast. This is Bob Alvis.